All right, so we're doing section 4-6. We got one more lesson after this. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, after this lesson, I'll put the lesson plans on there for the week. All right, so really what we're doing is we're doing 4-6, and then we're going to take 2 days to do 4-7, and then we're going to do a worksheet on Friday. All right, so no quizzes or tests this week. And then we'll figure out what's happening next week. All right, let's grab triangle. And if you remember from Friday, what kind of triangles are we dealing with? Right triangles. Did you guys actually sit and listen to the video? Okay. Was everybody good? Yes? Okay. Well, that's good to hear. So what kind of a triangle do I have right there? Do I? How do you know it's a right triangle? Say it. Nate, what'd you just say? Right. What'd you just say, though? So do you know that they're right triangles right now? Why not? Because there's no box. Okay, put the little box right there. Now, what are they? Now they're right triangles. All right, so the name of this lesson is called Right Triangle Congruence because it's only dealing with right triangles. So what we're doing today only has to do with right triangles. There's two things you got to know. Excuse me. There's two things that you have to know about. There's a lot of things to know about right triangles. In fact, I don't know, I might have told you this before. Do you know that we have a whole entire chapter in this book just on right triangles? A whole chapter, like 6, 7, 8 lessons, whatever it is. I forget exactly how many it is. Just on right triangles. You're like, how in the world could there be that much to know about right triangles? But there is. All right, but we're only going to learn just a little tiny bit today about it. And the most important thing, at least the most important starting off thing to learn about is the name of this particular side right there. And it's called the hypotenuse. Did I mention that in the video on Friday? Good. Because the last class, you would have thought that I never showed it to them. They've never learned anything about right triangles because nobody knew that that was the hypotenuse. At least one person in here knew that that's the hypotenuse, okay? Let me ask you this, though. How do you know which side? There's 3 sides, right? How do you know which side is the hypotenuse? Okay, that's good. I like that. It's the longest side. What if you weren't able to actually measure and tell which one the longest side was? But you are right. Yeah, that's exactly what I want you to see. Okay, the hypotenuse, it's the side that's opposite the what? The right. See how these two things are opposite each other? It's right across from it. Okay, but we don't use the word across from. What do we say? It's what? I just said it. It's what? It's opposite. That's right. It's opposite. Okay? So the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. And Josh, you are right that the hypotenuse is the longest side, but we're not even going to deal with that today. But that is absolutely true. On a right triangle, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. But what we're concerned about is that the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. So if this side is the hypotenuse, what do I call this side right here and this side right here? They actually have the same name. It's a leg of the right triangle. So that's the leg, and that's a leg. So the legs of a right triangle are just the ones that aren't the hypotenuse. That's it. Okay, somebody in the other class said, well, it attaches to the right angle. That's an okay way to look at it as well. Everybody see that? See that line segment right there? It eventually hits it at that right angle. Does the hypotenuse ever hit the right angle? No. Okay, but the legs do, don't they? So the leg hits at that right angle. This leg right here hits at the right angle. So these are both legs, right? If you just had any random triangle, you don't really call any of the sides the leg unless it's a what kind of a triangle? A right triangle. If you have a right triangle, then these two sides right here are called the legs of the triangle. So that's really important that we get that straightened out first before we talk about this other stuff. Everybody good with that? All right, enough of that. Let's get rid of all this. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to talk, the title of this lesson was right triangle what? Congruence. And we've been doing this for the last, 3 lessons, maybe 4 lessons, this congruence thing. And we're going to do it again. So what if I gave you this side was equal to this side, and I gave you this one was equal to this one? What do you think? With that information I've given you right there, what do you think you could say about those two triangles? Yeah, they're congruent because of what? Side, angle, side. Over here, I got a side, I got an angle, and I got a side. And these two angles are equal to each other because they're both right angles, right? Which means they both equal 90 degrees, and 90 degrees equals 90 degrees. Agree? All right, that sounds kind of silly, but it's actually, we don't do proofs in here, but when you do proofs, that's one of the things you have to say. But anyway, I got a side, I got an angle, and I got a side. Now, there's a little, it's not much easier, but it's a little bit easier way. It's one thing shorter to say. Instead of saying that these are congruent because of side, angle, side, we have another way to say it. If you have right triangles, and we're established that these are right triangles, correct? If you have two right triangles, if I just know that the two legs, right, here's one set of legs equaling another, well, these two set of legs equal each other, and another set of legs equal each other. If both pairs of legs equal each other, that's enough to say that these triangles are congruent to each other. And what do you think the reason is? Leg what? Leg, right. Because if you're here on Friday, you might actually even have it on your notes. Does anybody actually have it in your notes right now? Good. All right, you should, because you should have taken notes on Friday when I wasn't here because I showed the video. All right, so we call it leg, or we shorten it. Instead of writing it out, leg, wouldn't be that hard, but we write just LL, and that's the theorem. So we're going to learn 3 of them. I'll put it up here. So we're going to learn 3 ways to show that right triangles are congruent to each other. Okay? 3 ways. What's the first way? Leg, that's right. If I got one leg equal and then a second leg equal, then do you have any other legs on this triangle? Nope, you only got the 2 legs. So if both legs of one triangle equal both legs of the other triangle, then these triangles are congruent to each other. You could have said side, angle, side, but the question on a test or a quiz, it's going to be specific, and it's going to say, what right triangle congruence theorem are you going to use to prove that these two triangles are congruent to each other? All right? So you would not say side, angle, side, because it says, what right triangle congruence? This is a right triangle congruence. Everybody see that? So don't write side, angle, side when it's a right triangle. You would put leg. Any questions on this before we move on? You okay with this? All right, so if I got 2 triangles and they're both right triangles and I can see that both sets of legs are equal, then the triangles are congruent to each other. I'm not going to bother writing the congruent statement. We've done that before. I could call this triangle ABC, DEF, right? You could match them all up and all that good stuff. We've done that before, so I'm not going to deal with that just right now. Okay, let's do another one. Said there's 3 of them, so we're the third of the way done. Let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of these. All right, now here's the second one. Here's what else they could give you. They could give you that this is equal to that. So are these legs? What are they? They're both hypotenuse, right? I don't know what the plural of hypotenuse is. It's probably hypotenuses. It would be my guess. I don't know. Let me just, I guess I have thought about it before. Plural of hypotenuse. Hypotenuses. Yes, I was correct. All right, there you go. Seems like it should be like hypoteni or something like that. It sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? Anyway, it's not. It's hypotenuses. All right, this is stuff they give you right here. Now, what if you didn't know these are right triangles, but you still knew that this angle equaled this angle? You could say these triangles were congruent because of angle. What? Is it side, angle, side? No, I only have one set. of sides equal to each other, so it can't be side, angle, side. Somebody in the other class said angle, side, angle. Is this angle, side, angle? No, because the side's not in between the two angles. So what's another way? Angle, angle, side, right? What I'm saying is, let's not use the right triangle. Let's pretend they're not right triangles, but pretend you do know that these are equal to each other. You could say they're congruent because of angle, angle, side, couldn't you? All right? But they are right triangles. All right? So we got a special name for it. So what do I got? I got a hypotenuse equaling a hypotenuse, and I got another what? I got an angle equaling another angle. All right? I already know that these are right triangles, okay? So I already know that they're right angles. But I know I got a hypotenuse. I know we got an angle. Guess what we're going to call this? Hypotenuse what? Angle. I'll just shorten hypotenuse to HYP. Is that all right? So that's hypotenuse angle. How would you write hypotenuse angle? Just HA. I guess you could write angle hypotenuse, but we don't say it that way, okay? We just want to say it the same way. Everybody say it the same way, so we'll just call it hypotenuse angle. All right, so that's our second one. Hypotenuse angle. Again, we could have gone angle, angle, side, but if we want to be specific to a right triangle, we'll just call it hypotenuse and then angle. Now we got a third one. So I had two legs. I got a hypotenuse and an angle. What do you think I'm going to do now? I'm going to go actually, going leg and hypotenuse is not enough to say that they're congruent to each other. Because, watch. Don't write this down. So, watch this. Is that enough to show that they're congruent to each other? It's not side, 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 right? Because you don't know anything about this. This length could be a different length than this one. And this one and this one might still be the same. So, and again, this would be like angle, side, side. Remember, we can't have an angle, side, side, right? Because it would be A, S, S, and we're not going to say that, all right? So, having a hypotenuse and a leg is not enough to say that these triangles are congruent to each other. So we're not going to use that. All right? But we can have this. We can have a leg. Let's do this. What if I gave you that this angle equals this angle, and this leg equals this leg? Now, do you think those triangles are congruent? Yeah, because of what? Angle, side, angle. Yeah, so these triangles could be congruent to each other. But let's have a little shorter way of saying it. I've got an angle and I've got a leg. Well, we don't put the angle first. We always put the side first. So what would we call this? Leg angle. All right, and we shorten it just by putting LA for leg angle. And that's our third one, leg angle. Here's another way you could say it. Instead of having that red one, I'll do this in a different color. What if you had this one down here? Yeah, these would still be congruent. Let's pretend you didn't know this top one, right? Because that was for the first one. But let's pretend you know these two were equal. This would be angle, angle, side. So these triangles would still be congruent even though that other one. And so we still have a leg and an angle, right? Or I could have had a leg here and a leg here. So yes, I still got a leg and an angle. So it's just two different ways that you could show it on your triangle, but you still only have these three right there. All right, so you got three of them. You got leg, leg, you got hypotenuse angle, and you got leg angle. So these are only used with what kind of triangles again? Right triangles, okay? So if you have two triangles, don't use leg, leg if the triangles aren't right triangles. Okay, you can only use these three when you have right triangles. Because you can only have legs on a right triangle. You can only have a hypotenuse on a right triangle. All right, so you're not going to use those on right triangles. It's not too hard, is it? It's pretty much the same thing we've been doing the last several lessons, okay, with side, 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 side angle, side, and all that kind of stuff. Except the only thing difference with this is we're being a little more specific and we're just using right triangles. All right, let's write down a homework. So that was section 4.6. So here's your homework, section 4.6. I'll put the lesson plan up on the screen here in a minute for the week, so you can tell what we're going to do the rest of the week. And there's your homework. Pages 188, 189, 1 to 14. And you got about 20 minutes in here to work on it. So let's try to get it done. Let's not just put everything away and just say, well, I'm just going to blow off the rest of this class. Let's get it done in class. You can ask questions. You can ask me questions. You can ask questions of students around you. And that should help you out a little bit. Yes. Yes, go ahead. There's a couple books there, aren't there? They're pretty beat up, but they still open. They still have the pages on there. All right, so that's going to be due tomorrow, so make sure that is finished by tomorrow. Get it done in class, though, for goodness sakes, okay? You shouldn't have to worry about doing it at home. Get it done in class, then you'll be ready for tomorrow.